Hello, sewing people of the internet. The other day I got a question about this Tyvek backpack that I made a few videos back. Someone was asking how it was holding up, and I thought that it might be kind of fun, since we're getting close to the end of the year, to take a look back at some of the projects I've built over the last year or so. Not all of these were made in 2019, just to see, if the stuff that I've made that you've seen videos about is still in use, it still works, is it falling apart, or what's happening with it. So here we go. So since this lightweight Tyvek backpack is what kind of drove this video to be made, I guess we'll start with it. I made this backpack kind of intending it to be a one-use item, and then I'll just keep using it and see how long it lasts. I used it for a stand-up paddleboard outing that ended up not even really happening. But I've had it out on my paddleboard at least a half dozen times since then. And I think I've taken it on a couple of hikes. And I brought it on the boat with me for the freediving class I took this summer to keep items in. And it's worked perfectly in the applications that I made it for. It's been splash proof. It's not intended to be completely waterproof. It's a water resistant material, but I did seal the seams on this, but I kind of did a pretty quick job of it, and I'm not expecting it to be fully waterproof or immersible. But on a boat or on a paddleboard, nothing in it has gotten wet, and it's held up remarkably well. This stuff's very tough. I wish I would have put a carry handle on it. I think I said that in the video when I made it. It just has very simple straps, and I didn't put a carry handle. But it's still holding up great. I'm going to keep using it. I'm starting to have a lot more confidence in Tyvek, and I'll get to why that is in a minute. But I definitely think if you're looking to make a lightweight backpack or waist pack, any kind of bag, if you have access to some Tyvek, especially if you can get it really cheap or free, I'm starting to recommend it. It seems to be holding up very well. Hi. In June of 2019, I made this duffel bag out of Tyvek, and I didn't make a video about it. This was one of my early testers of making something larger out of Tyvek. And this lives in the back seat of my truck with jumper cables and bungee cords and tie-down straps and that kind of thing in it. And I've been intentionally rough with this thing. I just, throw it around, don't care at all. I'm not trying to break it, but I'm not trying to break it. But, I don't want to handle this with kid gloves. I want to see what real abuse does to something like this. So going on 6 months now, and it's been great. I put a water-resistant number 10 YKK zipper on this thing. It's great. I really like it, actually. By the way, by the end of this video, I'll get to the tutorial backpack, which is maybe the most important one to do a follow-up on. But I didn't make this bag this year. I think this one's a year and a half, 2 years old. Don't quote me on it. But this is my messenger bag that I made. And this one actually did have a slight failure. The original grab handle on this bag was just a loop of 17337 webbing. And that webbing was just sewn into the top seam where the flap begins. And it got, I think, nicked by the needle when it got sewn in and started to tear a little bit. Probably would have lasted for some time longer, but I went ahead and replaced it by sewing on a big strip of 2-inch webbing, and this is all seatbelt webbing, and then this handle made out of 1-inch seatbelt webbing, and added a loop to attach a carabiner and that kind of thing. This is a much better handle design, and if I make any more messenger bags, I'll probably do something like this going forward. It definitely makes it feel more briefcase-like. Of all the bags I've made, this one's probably been used the most and the most consistently. This is my thrift store challenge bag, where I took a garment bag and took it all apart and made this kind of... This is my thrift store challenge bag, where I bought a garment bag from the thrift store for $5 or $3 or something, took it apart, and I made this bag from it. It's not something I use very often, but lately I've been taking my computer to work with me, and depending on which bag I'm using, sometimes I like to just put the computer in this bag so it's kind of in its own thing. In fact, that's how I took it to work today. And I'm using one of my packing cubes to carry the charger and some other stuff for the computer. And then this isn't really anything about today, but I made a sleeve for my computer because my previous MacBook broke and I had to buy a new one, and it cost an awful lot of money, so I wanted to have a little bit more protection. Let me know in the comments if you want to know how I made this little slip pouch for the computer. So at the end of last year and into 2019, I did a very lengthy tutorial on making a roll top commuter style backpack. This was the prototype for that build, and this was the result of the tutorial build. I don't really use the prototype bag that often. I carried it consistently during the several months that I was filming and making the tutorial bag. I have used it a few times as kind of a secondary bag if I go on an overnight trip, usually by car. I'll throw some extra stuff in this one, but I haven't really carried it on a daily basis. After I completed the tutorial, I carried this bag for a while just to make sure that there were no bugs I needed to work out. And I've used it on a couple of overnight trips by car, but recently I took it on a long weekend trip that involved 4 different airplane flights, a drive in a car that crossed 4 or 5 states. This was my only bag that I brought. I had everything packed in it for basically 4 days of travel. I used packing cubes that I made. I made a video about making the packing cubes. I'll put a card up for that. And as I mentioned earlier, my previous MacBook finally died, and it was like a 9-year-old MacBook, and I had to go out and spend an awful lot of money on a brand new one 2 days before I had to leave. So for the person who commented that they were concerned that the design of this bag might lead to damage to the laptop, I put a brand new MacBook in it and took it around the country for several days, and it's fine. So your mileage may vary, but I don't think there's a problem with this. By the way, on that trip I saw one of my favorite bands for like the 6th time, and comment below if you can figure out who that is. And lastly, for this update, there's the workout sandbag, the CrossFit style workout sandbag that I made. I've used this probably 30 times, I'm guessing. I run a lot more than I do anything else these days, although I have taken this on runs, which is a great way to get funny looks from people. But I've beat the living crap out of this thing and have had 0 issues at all. I still want to make some more bags. This thing weighs about 42 pounds as it is right now. So I need to make a few more bags so I can get a little heavier weight so I can become big and strong again. But as far as the bag itself, it's held up remarkably well. If you saw the video for that, I mentioned that I wasn't sure how using inner tube on this super heavy webbing that I have would work out. It's worked out really well. I love it. So if you've considered making something like this and you have access to some bicycle inner tube, might not be a bad idea. It actually seems to help the grip, to me anyway. Anyway, I hope you found that informative or useful or something. You know, I make a lot of stuff, and I know I've watched things on YouTube where I think, well, what's that going to be like in a year? Is that going to hold up? Is it going to last? So I thought it'd be fun to kind of show some of the things that I use all the time. I have a couple of customers and friends and family members who have bags that I've made for them, some of which have been used really hard and daily for 3-4 years now. And all the reports I've gotten back are that things are holding up well. So if you're thinking about making something like this but haven't, jumped into it, or if you are making your own gear, I hope this is encouragement to you that you can make good stuff that will last a long time by making it yourself. And if something does go wrong, you know how it's made because you made it, so you can always fix it like I did with the messenger bag. Hey, remember, if you like what I do here, one way you can help me out is by buying a sticker or a coffee mug or a t-shirt, but not this one. You can help these guys out by buying their t-shirt too, but you can buy one of my t-shirts. There will be a Teespring shelf below and a link in the description if you'd like to pick something up. Also, clicking like really helps. If you have a comment or a question, put it in the comment section below. If you want me to get rid of this goofy mustache, the best way to let me know that is by clicking like and leaving a comment. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.